This Calgary sports fan also liked video games back in the day, and one of my favorite video games that I grew up with was Mega Man. Hi there, it's Brad Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I always like to experiment and try different things on my YouTube channel, and also not just to talk Calgary sports all the time. However, one thing that I want to do that I forgot to mention in my update video, my channel update video, is I want to do some more ranking videos. As you know, as a Calgary sports fan, or sports fan in general, we like to rank things, and YouTube viewers love lists. So I felt one nice thing to experiment with, kind of just like a Dr. Wily trying to experiment making robot masters to take over the world. So Dr. Light created Mega Man, and was definitely one of the most awesome video game characters that I grew up with. So in this video, I'm going to rank the first 10 classic games from Mega Man 1 to 10, just in the classic series, where originally Mega Man's 1 through 6 was released on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I was about to say Super, but Mega Man 7 was on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And the Mega Man 8 was on both the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation 1 originally. And then 9 and 10, which kind of ties in with my sports, that these are my favorite Calgary Flames jerseys, the original and retro. Well, Mega Man 9 and 10, after 7 and 8 went into the beyond the 8-bit era, well, 9 and 10 went back into the 8-bit era with a downloadable game. I had a Nintendo Wii, so I originally played it on the Wii through WiiWare. I believe it was also available on the PlayStation Network or the Xbox Network on those systems. And then as well, these games were on compilations, including actually one of the reasons why I wanted to get a GameCube was when I saw the Mega Man Anniversary Collection was on there, and then there was Legacy Collections where these said 10 games are on there. I'm aware that Mega Man 11 has been put out, but I don't know if I'll have time to play that. And I'm just a little iffy on the fact that it's not in the 8-bit world, which I feel that Mega Man surely believes in. And then also, it's amazing that one game that was released back in 1987 spawned on the sequels and various series with the X series, as well as the RPG games, Mega Man base. There are like millions of Mega Man games, so definitely has had his legacy on the video game collection. So this is just my experiment on making more ranking videos. So what I did here is obviously I ranked 1 through 10. All the graphics I take from, I want to look at the source, so I'll put it in the description, that Mega Man, even though as great as the games were, they were notoriously bad for box art. So the graphics that I used the Legend app intro when I introduce all the Mega Man titles, and I'll explain why I have each game there, on MegaManFandom.com and TVTropes.org. That's where I got those graphics where you see Mega Man and the bosses in each game. So before getting listed, I always say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, I do mostly talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, but I also do some personal vlogs, attempt at comedy, and I also do share my experience I'm on the road or at a sporting event. So if that all sounds like you'd be interested to watch to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, you know what you need to do, and just make sure you like, subscribe. Also, my other social media links down in the description below. And also part of my personal vlogs, I did talk about gaming memories. And I tend to do more ranking videos in the future. Let's say rank jerseys or players or whatever. So I did a video where I ranked the Calgary Flames jersey ranking in the history. So now I just figured Mega Man. Nice 1 through 10. So let's get to the list. So hopefully I'll bring back some nostalgia, and let's see where I have each Mega Man game. So here we go. So the game that started it all, Mega Man 1, which if you look at this whole list, all the games are great to me. There's like no games that I dislike. That's where I have at the bottom. But the first Mega Man game, the one that started it all, I put it at number 10 in the classic list. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, it was a new concept at the time. It was a rock, paper, scissors format where it was kind of a choose your own adventure. And it had a rock, paper, scissors concept where, you know, your Mega Man, you have your Mega Blaster. You go through each stage, and which I also found very neat for many of these Mega Man games, is that the stages were all themed towards the boss. And of course, they all had a wicked soundtrack. But some games a lot more than others. That's we'll see later in the list. But you know, you go through the level, go through all the platforms, disasters, fight enemies. Eventually, you get to the boss, and then once you pass the boss, you pick up their weapon, and then the idea is you try to find the best weapon to use at another boss. So you usually try to find the best stage to go to first, where you use your Mega Blaster, get that weapon, then you pick it all up, and then eventually it's always to chase to Dr. Wily. And it all started in Mega Man 1. But the one thing I definitely found in Mega Man 1, I mean, it looks dated. I mean, it was made in 1987. And I think once Capcom realized that they had something special. However, the next game, it was kind of a side project because they didn't plan on continuing on Mega Man later. But it was definitely still a great game. And they kind of put a cruel trick if you don't play it the first time, if you know what I mean. And this will give you some insight if you haven't played the first Mega Man, is make sure you get the Guts Man first, which you can pick up the blocks. And I'm not too sure, I think it's the Elect Man stage, you have to pick up the Magnet Beam. It makes it look like it's just an optional object, but once you get to that said Dr. Wily Castle, you'll definitely need that Magnet Beam. Or you gotta start from the start again, and unfortunately, there is no password system in Mega Man 1. So you kind of have to start all over again. But, you know, the one that started it all, I put it number 10. I mean, it's still all great games. They're all classics. But I feel that it's definitely showing its age. But if we didn't have the first Mega Man, this list wouldn't have been possible, and all the Mega games, no pun intended, would have all created it. So, number 10, I got the first Mega Man. So let's continue up my ranking list to number 9. So number 9, this is where I kind of get into the why I feel the Blue Bomber, Mega Man, belongs in the 8-bit era. So Mega Man 7 is what I have at number 9, which was pretty much the first time that you saw Mega Man graduate from the 8-bit to the 16-bit era. I guess you could say that was inevitable after the Super Nintendo Entertainment System came in as the mainstream system, as the Nintendo Entertainment System was the end of the life. However, the reason why I still put Mega Man 7 down at number 9 is it just looked weird. I mean, definitely, you saw a more detailed version of Mega Man, but he definitely looked, you get so used to the 8-bit sprites and everything 8-bit, the music and that it just, I mean, the stages definitely graduated with the inevitable jump from 8 to 16-bit. But yeah, Mega Man just looked too big, and I mean, the difficulty at some parts are kind of cruel, and also the fact that they restricted the choose your own adventure. Is that after the first Mega Man, there's always the 8 bosses that you collect, and then eventually you go on the other, right to Dr. Wily, or another doctor that was under the power of Dr. Wily, which I'll talk about in later games up in this list. But it started off with just 4 Robot Masters, and I was saying, what the heck? And then if you were forced to get those 4 before you get to play the next 4, so you got the 8 Robot Masters eventually, and then eventually they chase to Dr. Wily. But I mean, it does expand on the, the whole story, and it's the same story but expand on the stages, show the more be able to put in for a 16-bit. But then that game got me realizing that I love Mega Man in its 8-bit form, which I don't know that same thing with the X series, but I think that X series was fine for being a faster paced, different version of Mega Man. But as I get later in the list, as you see in the series, that they had the classic games, and then it moved up into the 16-bit era. There was a reason why they kind of went back to the 8-bit era with 9 and 10, because many fans are like me thinking Mega Man belongs in 8-bit, and that's where his glory days is. And I think he's meant to stay in 8-bit, and that's where I'm a little iffy on Mega Man 11, based on what I see on the reviews. I hear it's been great reviewed, like all Mega Man games are, but I just don't have time to play games anymore. But I have Mega Man 7 for that reason, just because of it just aesthetically it looked a lot different. So that's where I have at number 9. So at number 8, here we go. Let's find out what I have at number 8. Well, no pun intended, Mega Man 8 I put at number 8. And I just felt that even though I actually played this game, I didn't play Mega Man 7 until I got the Mega Man Anniversary Collection, but I did play Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation, and I definitely felt that nostalgia, back to the glory days. Even though I felt the Mega Man 8, I accepted a little more of the going up into this is the 32-bit era. At first I was trying to figure out 8. How's there 8 games? And then I eventually looked up that, 1 through 6, and then there's 7 and 8. But it was still, a nice, I guess it was kind of a mix of how to do it, having that 2D classic scroller, but advance it to the 3D. I mean, I know the one thing that's kind of hilarious, and you could tell that it was made in Japan, and I know in Japan, where it was created, he was called Rock Band, but Mega Man definitely is the better name, I find, when it was ported to North America, especially when you acquire all the boss robots, that he's the ultimate robot to save the world. But there was definitely a lot of cutscenes in there, and it definitely looked funny, when you watch any anime cartoon, that the lip moves with Japanese, but when you translate it to English, it looks weird, but it was still well done. You definitely got to admire the creators to make all the graphics. And when Mega Man 8 started, it showed all the battles from the previous games. So it was still a fun game, and I think there was that ball at the beginning of the first stage that I think that inspired that Mega Man Soccer. I think the Mega Man Soccer, was on the Super Nintendo, and I think they ported that in there as one of the weapons. But it was definitely a fun just to kind of see how they updated it, but it definitely became obvious at this stage that if they wanted to make more Mega Man games, it had to go back to the 8-bit roots, and eventually they did. But I liked Mega Man 8 a little more than some video game fans when I looked at ranking videos. However, I do admit the snowboard stages in the Frostman stage and Dr. Wily's stage 1, that can go, to, what. That's even more annoying than the disappearing blocks. I can accept that in Mega Man games, but that snowboarders they tell you to jump, slide. Like, enough already. Jeez. So that's where I have Mega Man 8 at number 8. So let's continue up the list here. So let's see what I have at number 7. Well, at number 7, I put Mega Man 6. And the first time I played Mega Man 6 was on the Anniversary Collection, because ultimately I sold my Nintendo Entertainment System and went to the Sega Genesis. So I never got to play Mega Man 6 when it originally came out. But when I went to the Anniversary Collection, Mega Man 6 definitely, I would say, had the misfortune of it still hanging on to the very last days of the Mega Man franchise on the 8-bit, which I always keep saying, yes, Mega Man belongs in the 8-bit. That's why I think it's a little lower. It felt like a bland game, but it did actually revolutionize and added more to the adventure, where you can add more Rush to be, as well, companion Rush the dog, which you first saw the appearance in Mega Man 3. They definitely expanded upon it, where you could do more than just, be a jet or an extra spring, or being, in a submarine in a small water tank. But they expanded on that, and they found another way to expand on collecting items. But and also, I believe this was the first Mega Man game where they had an energy tank that replenished not only your energy but all your weapons. But I think the Mega Man 6, it just started feeling bland at this stage, and also just it felt like the same adventure after you beat the 8 robots, and then you had that, I believe it was Dr. X. There was an X stage that you had to go through before going to Dr. Wily. That just it felt bland. It was still a great game, and I mean the music even seemed bland. But I think it was just because it held on to the last stage of the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I felt at this stage that was when Capcom decided to take Mega Man in a different direction, and they definitely did. And I would say this game probably kept the franchise going still stronger than ever, and more iterations of it. So Mega Man 6 I have at number 7. So let's continue up as we get towards the middle of the Classic series. So number 6, I actually have Mega Man 5 in there, and I never played this in the Nintendo Entertainment System because going back to having a Sega Genesis as I was about to trade that in, and of course all Mega Man games were tough to rent at the video store back in the day. But Mega Man 5 I had a little up at 6 just because of once again it started feeling a little bland just because of how late it was in the Nintendo Entertainment System. I know in Mega Man 3 Proto Man was kind of introduced, and at first it was kind of a nemesis, but eventually became a friend when they expanded on the system. But once again, you got the Robot Masters, and then there was the Proto Man stages before getting to Dr. Wily. And once again, I mean, the music and that, it still seemed bland, but at the same time, it also added on to the collection elements to pick up extra weapons as well. So that's where, it still expanded upon it. But Mega Man 5 I have at number 6, just, it's a mediocre game. It's still good to pick up once in a while, but there's definitely better Mega Man games when you just look at the Classic series. So at number 6, I have Mega Man 5. So let's continue on. So number 5, I actually have Mega Man 4. And this actually was the game that one of the Mega Man games that I actually owned. And Mega Man 4 definitely, it felt like it still had a tough task to pick up from Mega Man 3 and 2, which I haven't mentioned that yet because there were much better games. But Mega Man 4 definitely expanded on the extra adventure, and what was also great with this game is the charge shot. That definitely what sold that game to make it better. It was the debut of the charge shot, where if you hold on, Mega Man starts flashing and has an extra blast that you can use to pick on weapons. So you can definitely put your Mega Buster on steroids. And then of course another thing that was also interesting in Mega Man 4 that I liked, it still had great music. It definitely had interesting bosses. The music, I definitely would say the first 4 games, 2, 3, 4 were the best music in the original Classic series, the first games. But it also added in the Dr. Cossack stage, where at first I thought he was the enemy, and then eventually, I think it was Dr. Cossack's daughter was begging Mega Man to stop, hurting him. But then as it turned out, Dr. Wily, the evil Dr. Wily, was behind Dr. Cossack's plan to take over the world. So I found that was neat, and it kind of, you had a little taste of Russian culture with the Dr. Cossack and some of the music. So that was where I have Mega Man 4 at number 5. It was definitely the charge shot, the Dr. Cossack, and then eventually getting into the Dr. Wily stages, and it felt like a faster paced Mega Man game, as once the series got more popular. But it definitely had a tougher task to still keep the bar high from previous titles. So let's continue on as we get into the final 4 games. So what do I have at the final 4? Well, let's find out. 4, well, I got Mega Man 9 in number 4. I was definitely pleasantly surprised that in 2008 when the game first came out, and it was a downloadable content on WiiWare, as I had a Nintendo Wii. I was surprised at Mega Man 9, and I definitely was like, thank you. Mega Man back in the 8-bit era, and it definitely brings back the nostalgia with the 8-bit. The music was awesome, but they definitely took away a couple things. They took away the slide, the charge shot, just like the first couple Mega Man games. And then also you realize that as you get older and you have less time to play games. But I also think they definitely purposely brought up the difficulty. And if you're definitely a younger person watching this, that's the term NES hard. Ooh, yes. They definitely brought up the difficulty big time in Mega Man 9. I could probably say it's probably the most difficult Mega Man game in the classic series. But there was definitely some cruel traps. I mean, Mega Man 1, you could probably say they gave you a little more forgiveness when it comes to getting hurt, because if you just hit the spikes, it's instant death, but at least if you're flashing, you have some time to get out of danger before you instantly, poof, you're gone. Well, Mega Man 9, I would say, still had that, but the difficulty level definitely was cranked up, which is why I would say I put it just a little lower, because some gamers would find that frustrating, but it was still awesome when they brought back Mega Man in the 8-bit era, which I personally feel he belongs in the 8-bit era. So it was definitely awesome to see that again. And of course, expanded on with the online connectivity and the challenges, so the replay value definitely added to it, and all the extra features you can download, play with. I never really liked playing. I always liked just to play Mega Man, even though the extra characters you could play in, but they can, for example, you could play without the helmet. I mean, I don't know why, it's just something fun. But I know the ultimate challenge is they're trying to do it without getting hit. Mega Man 9, you're definitely a hardcore gamer, and I salute you if you could complete Mega Man 9 from start to finish without getting hit once. You're definitely the ultimate gamer and have too much time on your hands to do that. So that's why I have it number 4. So we're now into the final 3. What do I have in the final 3? Well, let's find out. Well, number 3, I put Mega Man 10, which is the next downloadable game after Mega Man 9. It definitely was a follow-up to Mega Man 9. I mean, I definitely put it up a little higher because I actually liked the soundtrack a little more, and definitely interesting. All the bosses are interesting. I guess I forgot to mention in Mega Man 9, you definitely know that we're later in the gaming, that it wasn't all just men. The man wasn't a robot. There were Splash Women in Mega Man 9, but Mega Man 10, I mean, I definitely figured that they notched down the difficulty just a little bit so that it doesn't kick your ass as hard. All Mega Man games still kick your ass at one time and another, but I definitely found Mega Man 10 definitely, had the better music, better stages, and then, once you get past the half stage and the opening stage of Dr. Wily, when you get into stage 1, I would say that song definitely gets you in the mood that you're on the chase to get Dr. Wily again. There's definitely another game that's a little higher that does the same effect, but Mega Man 10 almost captured that in 2010, but definitely still continue on the theme that Mega Man belongs in the 8-bit era, and also has that surprise ending, because some of these Mega Man games where you finally beat Dr. Wily and he's begging, to only find out it's a dummy Dr. Wily. Mega Man 10 definitely has an extra element where you think you just finished Dr. Wily, but you didn't, and there was one more stage. It's kind of like you thought you scored the goal in overtime, but there was interference, so it didn't happen. That's what that's like. So that's Mega Man 10 in a nutshell. And number 3. So what do I have at 2 and 1? As if you've been following along, there's a couple games that I have not mentioned yet. So what do I have at number 2? What do I have at number 1? Well, let's find out what I have at number 2 first. Well, number 2, I have Mega Man 3. And actually, this was the first game that I actually got introduced to Mega Man and how awesome it is. And also, being a Gemini myself, Gemini man, Gemini's rule, right? But Mega Man 3 definitely was a very, very great game. I would say it's definitely close to the one I have not mentioned yet. But it definitely, had awesome music, awesome stages, awesome bull rots. And this also was the first game that introduced the slide, which definitely was a nice addition, and definitely was and as well as Rush. So the slide and Rush all trace back to Mega Man 3. And of course, it just felt satisfying to finally get through the adventure, because what they did in Mega Man 3 is that after you beat the 8 robots, then this is where they first started expanding on the chase through Dr. Wily before you get to Dr. Wily, but they remastered 4 stages, and you get to take 2 bosses from Mega Man 2, which I haven't mentioned that game yet, and I'll mention that why. But you get to beat them, and then eventually you get to Dr. Wily, and of course, it's always the awesome soundtrack, and definitely, I would say one of the best 8-bit soundtrack video game music all comes from Mega Man, and Mega Man 3 definitely does that very well. And of course, there's an underrated song where you get to the final stages of Dr. Wily. It definitely sets a tone that you're ready to make the ultimate battle and save the world once again. But Dr. Wily, he just never seems to give up. So that was number 2, was Mega Man 3. So of course, we'll find out what number 1, well, it's if you tick off 1 through 10, well, there's one that has not been mentioned yet. Here we go. Well, you probably saw this coming if you definitely are a hardcore Mega Man fan. But number 1 definitely is Mega Man 2. I definitely get the most giddy playing Mega Man 2. I did not own this game. I wasn't able to buy it. But I definitely rented the heck out of it at the local mom and pop store. But Mega Man 2 definitely built on Mega Man 1. When you first look at Mega Man 1, and then what they did for Mega Man 2, and the fact that Mega Man 2 was just, it was like a side project for Capcom at the time, because they didn't plan on continuing on the series. Well, thankfully they did, because that definitely is one of their flagship franchises for the company, video game company Capcom. But why Mega Man 2 is the best Mega Man, well, they expanded on from 6 to 8 robots. I mean, definitely the soundtrack, all the stages were awesome. The Robot Masters, the stages, and then of course, after you get the all the 8 Robot Masters and you go on to the Battle of Dr. Wily, I mean, definitely the soundtrack picks it up a lot more when you talk about Dr. Wily in the first 2 stages. Definitely is one of the best video game music in 8-bit of all time. And then of course, picking up those extra boss weapons, that's which kind of laid the foundation for eventually Rush, where you have item 1, 2, 3. I know there wasn't as much originality, but considering this game first came out in 1988, and here we are in 2020, and it still get giddy playing it, and then the fact that eventually there's another surprise ending with Dr. Wily after you first thought you beat him, and then there's that second battle, and you definitely have to be careful with that. And of course, apparently, if you have the North American version, where you have normal and difficult, apparently the Japanese version, the difficult version, is their version. That definitely picks it up a lot more. But, oh yeah, speaking of music, just how an intro, where you see, they always do that in the year 20X or whatever, and then it shows the going up to the high rise, and Mega Man Ready to Battle. That song definitely really gets you ready for going into Mega Man. So Mega Man 2 definitely is the best Mega Man game. I would say the best Mega Man game of all Mega Man games. But when you're looking at the classic series, Mega Man 2, it's definitely, if you can only have one Mega Man game, it's got to be Mega Man 2. So that is my list of ranking the classic Mega Man games from 1 through 10. Just looking at the first 10 titles. I don't know what you could agree or disagree. I mean, this is my opinion, but it seems like the general consensus is that most gamers who are familiar with the classic Mega Man series definitely puts 2 either at the top or runner up. Because 2 and 3 are generally the consensus, the best Mega Man games. but that is my opinion, and I give you my explanations on why I like Mega Man games. And I mean, unfortunately, I don't have the time to play any more deeper games, but the beauty with Mega Man is you can pick your own adventure and always find a different way to get to Dr. Wily, and always experiment with the rock, paper, scissors with the weapons in general. And of course, the soundtrack, it's all awesome. They're all great games, but obviously Mega Man belongs in 8-bit, and that's what my opinion is. So what do you think? What is your favorite Mega Man game? Where would you put your list, for 1 through 10, and maybe explain why you like this one more than the other. But give you my opinion, so I put it out to you. What's your favorite Mega Man games, and any memories, and what elements did you like, don't like, or there isn't not too much to dislike with Mega Man, other than sometimes the difficulty kicks your ass a few times, or sometimes they put traps, death traps, or the disappearing blocks, or the snowboarding stages in the Frostman, or Dr. Wily 1 in the Mega Man 8 game. So, as I will close out here, as I say, if you want to follow along this Calgary sports fan's journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, and I just felt this ranking video was just for me to experiment on what I want to do in the future when I want to rank sports, let's say jerseys or players or whatever, but I just want to put more ranking videos on my channel as well to expand upon my Calgary Flames jersey ranking. But I also do personal vlogs, attempt at comedy, and I also do share my experience with them on the road or at a sport event. So if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, do follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey. You know what you should do? I do more than just talk sports on my YouTube channel. I also have my other social media links down in the description below for other ways you can follow me. And I definitely liked all that fan art that I put out in the description below. I'll put the links where I got my graphics to use for the for what I put in the legend intro for each game, because it definitely looks well done, and I think it's all from the Japanese, but it's definitely nice to see Mega Man and all the bosses. But this definitely shows that sometimes robots, if they're designed wrong, they can take over, and that's what we always worry about. But Dr. Light always comes out top with Mega Man and Dr. Wily. It's always satisfying at the end of a Mega Man game when it's over, and you see Dr. Wily begging, and then you see the end cutscene, and definitely that's always satisfying to do in gaming. So, as I say, I'll see you in the next video.